When you're creating a load balancer, we gotta set up quite a lot of configuration for the load balancer. And yeah, it's just a one-time setup, but you don't have to worry about and maintain the load balancer time and again. But then we must understand various things like what backend pools are, what are load balancer rules, what's a session persistence, health probes, etc. In this lesson, let's go ahead and do some hands-on and understand how the load balancer works. So at this moment, I've created two virtual machines already, called them as Web Server 1 and Web Server 2. They are located in East US in the same network. Okay, so if I scroll to the right, you will notice that they are in the same virtual network called as mysite-vnet. Both of them are in the same private range, which is 10.0.0.0/24. And then of course they got different public IP addresses. Now, I just want to mention that they are in the same network and also in the same region. I've also set them up in the same availability set. So if I scroll down and look at a particular option called as availability set, you will notice that this is in an HA. Similarly, the web server 2 will also be in an availability set called as HA. So when I'm creating these virtual machines, I made sure that both of these are in the same region, number one. Second, in the same virtual network. They can be in different subnets though, but then they must be in the same availability set. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and connect to these machines and configure them as a web server. Okay, now keep in mind that these are Linux machines and they are not Windows, so I'm not going to do an RDP to them. For Windows machines, you're going to run your RDP on port number 3389, but because it is a Linux machine, I will go ahead and run an SSH on the public IP address. You can either run an SSH or use a tool called as PuTTY. So I will quickly launch the PuTTY tool on my machine. There you go. So that's the PuTTY tool. I will copy the public IP address and then connect to this machine. Just want to show you how you can make it a web server. There you go. Just click on yes, and then I will type in my user ID and then the password. Okay, the password is incorrect. I'll try one more time. Okay, there you go. I got connected as a root. I will clear the screen with clear command, and then now I'm back to the console. To make it as a web server, I will run the command called as sudo yum install httpd. So that is an httpd daemon that I'm installing. So when yum is not recognized, it can be apt-get. It's either yum or apt-get, just one of them. Okay, so HTTPD daemon is not recognized, so it is Apache 2. Well, it all depends on the kind of operating system you have. Now, this is an Ubuntu flavor, it seems. Let's go ahead and verify. Yeah, it's a Ubuntu. So on Ubuntu machines, you're going to use apt-get. If it's Linux or CentOS, you will use yum along with HTTPD. But because it is Ubuntu machine, it has to go with apt-get and Apache 2. All right, so hit enter, and then I'll hit yes to continue. Okay, hit enter. It will take some time to deploy the HTTPD daemon on this machine or the Apache 2, and that will make it as a web server. Okay, now I have to just repeat the same activities on the second machine. Okay, which I'll do that later. But on this machine, I have to first configure it fully. Okay, that means that have to start the service. In Windows machines, when you install IIS, the web service automatically gets started, but in Linux, that's not the case. I gotta start it manually. So I'll say sudo start httpd start. Okay, okay, it's not httpd, it's Apache 2. Okay, so when you're working with multiple flavors of Linux, it's a problematic. So you don't have to learn Linux just for this purpose, but I'm just demonstrating how you can make Linux servers as web servers. So you got to run this command called sudo service apache 2 start. There you go. My service is started. I can just run a status here to see whether it's started or not. Well, it is active. So now all I got to do is pick up this public IP and put that in the browser and then paste it there, something like that. Now it's not going to work right now because in my security groups, I have just port number 22 open. So I will quickly go to the networking and then security groups. I'll edit this to add port number 80. I just got port number 22 inbound. So I got to add an inbound port number 80 as well for the HTTP traffic. So I'll change this port to 80 here and then maybe give the rule name as allow HTTP. That's it, and that should be good. And click on add. And once this rule is created, you would be able to access the website properly. Let's give it a minute for it to sink in. Now remember that we gotta set up the exact set of commands, exact set of configurations that we're doing on the second machine as well. Okay, so now you go back here and refresh the page. Okay, so it looks like that is ready. So this is my default web page of the Ubuntu. You can go ahead and configure it, customize it based on your requirements. For example, as per the documentation here, it says you can replace the file in the following path with your own index.html and it will work like your own website. I'll quickly show that to you as well. So I'll launch the Linux machine and then let's clear the screen first and then navigate to this particular path here. Let's cd/var/www/html, hit enter, and then if I do dir here, well, in Linux the dir alternative is ls, like listing. Looks like there is an index.html. Okay, so what I have to do is remove this index.html and put my own index.html there, right? Because the current version of index.html has certain content, like the HTML content, which is more specific to this web page. We don't want this. We want our own custom page. So I'm gonna just say rm and then index.html. rm stands for remove. So I hit yes. So I got permission denied. It's more like run as administrator. So I'll do sudo here and now my file is removed. So now if I do ls, I do not have any file. So now I can use the VI editor to create a file called as index.html and hit enter. There you go. So my file is open. Now I'm ready to write certain content inside it. So I'll just call it as this is my new web server 1. Right, that should be good. I will close this file by saying write and quit and hit enter. It says cannot open the file for writing, and that is because again this is in read-only mode. I should have done sudo vi index.html. Okay, so I'll quit this particular file and then type sudo vi index.html, hit enter, and now this time I will type this is my, just say web server 1. Okay, should be good. And then just go ahead and close this guy, right? Say write and quit. There you go. So that's created. I will cat this index.html here. And now this is my web server 1. Now what do you think will happen if I go ahead and refresh this page? Do you think I will have the same content? Well, of course no, because I've deleted the default index.html and now I've got my own index.html in this page. Well, it could be any web page, it could be your custom page with your pictures, videos, etc. But at this time, I've made my own simple page. And now you can see that. I just refresh the page and you can see the content which I copied in the index.html from the VI editor. Okay, so now I'm going to pause this video and then run the exact set of operations for the web server 2 as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and connect to the web server 2 using SSH, install the HTTP daemon or the Apache 2 daemon, start the service, open the VI editor, make my own index.html. At the same time, make sure that port number 80 is open on web server 2, right? So let's wait for a few minutes and I will be back after configuring the web server 2.